Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome,
guys.
welcome to the At the Table podcast. Um, yeah, sorry. Kind of a slower intro today. I'm Luis. Um,
I'm Shay.
and today we are obviously here to record our podcast episode. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to start today, but obviously we are on a set schedule and we don't really have time to record any other day. Shay's here.
Hi, guys.
Um, we're recording this on September 10th on Wednesday, and a lot of unfortunate events have happened today. It's kind of affected us both, Shay, a little bit more. So she probably won't be
I'll probably just be a little bit quieter this
Right.
episode. Just feeling a lot of emotions myself just with everything that happened. So I'll probably just stick to the sidelines and side comments. So Luis is going to be the main guy.
Yeah, so I'll be here. Obviously, before we start today's episode, I just want to extend my condolences to the Kirk family, Erica, and their kids. As far as today, obviously, we know that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Very, very tough day for us. As Christians, he was obviously a very devout Christian, a very respected gentleman, a young father, family man. Obviously, we never got the chance to meet Charlie, but in the back of my mind, he's always somebody who, if this podcast ever grew, I would have loved to have him on here because I know that we share a lot of the same beliefs. And I also want to extend my condolences to everybody at Evergreen High School in Colorado. As far as we know, there were 3 deaths in the shooting at Evergreen High School. Don't know much information about that yet. Not a lot has come out. And Irina, who was a Ukrainian refugee escaping the war, who was also murdered in public transport. She was somebody who was fleeing the Ukrainian-Russian war and seeked asylum in the U.S. And unfortunately, she was killed by... yeah, I won't get into the details so much, but just wanted to let everybody know that today's a little bit of a heavier day for us because of these things that are happening. It's just it's a little tough, and I would like to encourage and challenge everyone who is listening to the podcast to keep all of them and their families in your prayers, and just continue to have faith in the Lord. Obviously, it's a little bit hard, but we move on. And at the end of the day, the Lord is working, the Lord is moving, and that's what's most important. So, as I move on, although it's a little bit tough, just kind of obviously moving away from the sadder things, I did have a little bit of a random topic that kind of perspired. Is that the right word? Transpired, maybe. It was up for conversation last night. So I was at our youth group. I am now one of the mentors at our youth group. I'm no longer in young adults. And after all the little kiddos left, all of us mentors started just yapping. And we were talking about podcasts and stuff, obviously being that me and Shay have our own. And there was a little bit of a conversation where I know I talk about it a lot, and it's something that interests me quite a bit, about the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, etc. Right? Just all on this topic. And I guess that there is a podcast that some of the mentors and youth like to listen to. And it's a Christian podcast who tackles on these subjects with a Christian mindset and through a Christian lens. They talk about these things. They were telling me how they've had somebody, Woody was actually the one who mentioned it. And they have a lot of guest speakers on there. So they had people who have been demonically possessed, who perform exorcisms, people who are Christian and currently working on uncovering certain conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And I guess the topic was how do you feel about us Christians dabbling in these things? I know it can be hard, especially for me in the past, being that I'm so interested in these topics and finding a way to not almost idolize these topics. And I wanted it to be more of a topic of conversation for the both of us. Shay's obviously welcome to share her opinions, and I'll share mine. But I also wanted it to be a topic of conversation for everybody in the comments. I've been a little bit of I check, and I've been dying for some conversation in the comments. I know I'm going to give a shout out to Fave Mexican, who was the only person who commented a penguin on the second episode after I said comment a dragon or a penguin. And they were the only one. So shout out to you, whoever you are. I have my suspicions on who it may be, but no idea, truly. But yeah, I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit on what you think.
I think it's a hard topic in the sense that it can become an idol if you, I don't know, become obsessed with it, I guess is the only way to put it. But it's hard because as Christians and like looking biblically, we know that this stuff happens. So I think my idea of like where to be wary of it is if you go seeking it out for ill intent.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think it's more so an area to learn more about God and his provision through that,
right,
and how he can deliver from those things.
Mm-hmm.
And how, like we said with movies or shows or that kind of thing, it can be for, obviously, like the shows and stuff are fake and exaggerated, and those can be for enjoyment or entertainment.
Absolutely.
But I think to seek it out in real life for the ill intent of, I don't know, like wanting to exploit it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like kind of wanting to fill your own curiosity rather than, I don't know, just being wary of the fact that everything is real.
Yeah.
And it's in the Bible. Like, people are possessed by demons. We know that it happens. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like wrong to be interested in these things.
Right.
I'll leave it at that. I don't think it's wrong. Okay. I don't know how to like word it, but I don't think it's wrong to be interested. I think it's just wrong to be so focused on the negative rather than the positive.
Right. I think maybe it could fall into, I know I see this question a lot, especially on TikTok, and a lot of people who are curious ask me this question, and it's, if God was real, why do bad things happen? Mm-hmm. And I think that if you look at it while you're questioning, while that's your question, looking into these sort of things, I think it's definitely the wrong overview. Mm-hmm. And Woody made a great point last night in youth, as far as like a reading tip for the Bible. But I think this could kind of go for anything really that, you may be interested in, is where do I see Jesus in this moment?
Yeah.
And I think it's perfect. especially so I saw The Conjuring on Saturday with my family. I'm a huge fan of horror movies. Um, and I was kind of talking to them about, while we were in the group of the just us mentors at the end, I was kind of mentioning how The Conjuring, as far as this movie goes, there was a lot of foundation surrounding Jesus. There was a lot of foundation surrounding faith. Like the biggest topic in the movie was having faith. And I won't spoil it too much. Or actually, I mean, because I realistically, I don't know who's going to watch the movie. I don't know who has watched the movie, but there's a part in the beginning where Lorraine, the obviously the she's one of the main characters, Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're obviously real people who have passed away. And so Lorraine, their only daughter, as far as I'm concerned, their only daughter was a miracle baby. And she was born, she was stillborn. Stillborn?
Stillborn.
Yeah, she was stillborn. And in the movie, as far as the just the movie, right? I don't know if this is true, you know, as far as her being stillborn or anything like that. But in the movie, she was stillborn, and obviously it had the, you know, some sort of demon in that part as far as why she was stillborn, something that was following them. But the whole idea was obviously the baby survives, but while she's holding the baby, while Lorraine is holding the baby and Ed is right next to her, she's saying a prayer, and she's praying, and she's begging to the Lord, and she's allowing the Lord to work in this moment, and she's vocally saying, you know, that she has 100% faith, and she's like, Lord Jesus, you know, allow me to have my baby. You know, like, I know that you can do this. And she just goes on and goes on. And it's about like a 3-minute clip of her crying, praying. You know, she's yearning for the Lord to work in this moment. And obviously the baby ends up starting to breathe. And that moment alone, I was just like, wow, you know, like that's kind of how the movie starts. And I was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know, I felt so moved, and I didn't feel, how do I say it? I didn't feel sort of like a negative aspect to it. It felt like they were moving in the direction of, this is what it means to have faith. And this is what it means to have true faith. And this is what a miracle looks like. That obviously comes from Jesus. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of people. Clay, you are not one of them. Because I know he's going to listen, and every time I bring this up, he always thinks I'm talking about him, and I'm not. But there are people who I've had in my life in the past who would always tell me that scary movies is inviting evil spirits and demons into my home. And I don't believe that that's true. How could I fear the created when when there's a creator, right? Yeah. And I'm always going to use that example because it's so true. And although I do believe in, obviously, that there are evil spirits and there are demons, one thing that we do know is that Jesus is everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
While the devil can't be.
Yeah.
The devil can only be in one place at one single time. And there are quote unquote conspiracies on where the devil resides, and anything else outside of said place is a demon that's working for the devil, but the Lord is everywhere. And it kind of made me think, you know, because I'm somebody who really dives deep into all of these topics as far as UFOs, conspiracies, you know, government cover-ups, demonic possession, exorcisms, all these kinds of things. I'm somebody who loves to research these kinds of things. These are things that fascinate me. And my question in the back of my head has always been, where do I see Jesus in this? Whether it's something terrible that happened, whether it's something good that happened. But you also have the example of mockery in today's day. And I wasn't going to say it, but maybe now I'll say it. I do believe that the devil resides in Hollywood. and that could be controversial to say, but
Yeah.
if we're being real, they're currently working on a horror movie about Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah, and Nicolas Cage is the main character.
Okay. I saw something about Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
in regards to that, but I didn't know it was because he was making a movie.
Yeah, so they're filming a horror movie about the life of Jesus, which is, for one, weird.
Yeah.
I don't see where a divine person and a divine life, perfect life,
this
could
is
be.
coming from the same Hollywood that just casted Jesus as a black queer woman. So.
Yeah. And, but they were attacked by a swarm of bees on set. And, you kind of see these kinds of things happen almost every day. There's a viral clip going around on Instagram of an LGBTQ pastor saying his sermon, and he's saying something that is just outright wrong. For the lack of better words, it's just wrong. And his entire church shuts down. Electricity goes out, and as he's about to speak, a single, what do you call it, lightning thunder, it's very loud, and you can hear it. And his first sentence after all this kind of happens is, "That's not God, by the way."
Oh.
And I thought it was hilarious because it absolutely is.
Yeah.
For one, not only are you mocking, but you're selling a false doctrine to these people. And we see these things happen every day. And but I believe that it's up to you and where you hold said things, for it to be maybe a situation of you inviting evil spirits, you inviting demons into your life, or holding these things as an idol. It definitely matters where your heart is, especially for these kinds of things. And I believe that most of these things, if you are not able to have the heart posture to take in this sort of information, especially if it's something that you're into, then it's definitely something that I would say that you should stray away from it, either until the Lord provides you with the heart posture to take it in, or maybe he just doesn't want you to fall into these things because obviously he knows that you may not be somebody who will ever have the heart posture to take in said information. That's kind of the whole idea that I had, and kind of why I wanted to bring it up. And that's only because I'm somebody who dabbles in these things, and I do my research, and I've said it before, I go into these rabbit holes where I love to do my research, and I take everything with a grain of salt, because my first question is, where do I see Jesus in this?
Yeah.
And if I don't see Jesus in this, then it's obviously not something that I'm gonna continue to research. But yeah, that's it for my random topic.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Can you turn on that lamp?
Do I just pull one of these things
Both of them.
at the same time?
If you want.
There we go.
And then I have to go potty.
All right, you go for it. All right, Shay's on a potty break. So today's topic, so we had two more topics. We had two separate episodes that we were waiting to record, and they were kind of on par with stuff we've already talked about. So I kind of came up with the idea for this episode to be about young adults having more sway in the church. And, especially for us, we attend a church, and so do our friends. We all go to the same church. That's kind of where we all met, I think. But our whole mission behind the church that we have, we have obviously like our foundations, and it's our mission is to gear up the next generation for what's to come, for the future of the church. And I do believe that it's something that I hold very close to my heart as far as young adults being more in the church. And we kind of see it today as far as, younger people being worship leaders and, younger people being pastors, younger people just being everywhere in the church and serving in almost every single area that you can serve. I do believe that it's something that, we almost kind of have to see it as something more important. I believe that our next generation, which is kind of us, anywhere from young adults. So anywhere from, I would say 18 to 29, 30, even, we're considered the next generation of the church. And I believe that we have so much to offer, especially with the amount of growth and the more understanding of social media, the more I don't want to say the more passionate we are about obviously the word of the Lord, but to an extent I could possibly say that even that I would say that we have the opportunity to reach more people, being younger people, being people in our generation who there are a lot of people in our generation who are also lost. And something that I love to pray for is I love to pray for the lost. I love to pray for the people who live in the world, who don't know Jesus, who don't know about his word, who don't know about his love. And I love to pray about these people, and that's, including even family members, friends from the past, strangers. It's just we're called to be disciples of the Lord. We're called to reach out to these people who don't know Jesus, and we're called to spread the word. We're called to spread the gospel, and I believe that we are having such a huge impact in today's day as far as doing these things. We have people like Bryce Crawford, I want to say is his name, who I believe is doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
He goes out in public and he uses his, I guess you can say fame. He's somebody who is an influencer, a Christian influencer, and he's one of the few people that I believe that does have the right heart to do these things. He's somebody who feels called to be, what's the word I'm looking for? He's somebody who goes out in public.
Evangelist?
Yes, he evangelizes in public. He goes out and he talks to strangers, and I believe that he does an amazing job in sharing his testimony, and he uses his testimony as leeway into showing people what the Lord can do. He's also somebody who eventually I would love to have on the podcast. If we ever get to that point of having, bigger people, more influential people, that are around our age in the on the podcast. He's somebody who I would just love to pick his brain and see, know more of his story, not just off the internet but personally. And but I think it's just he's an example of somebody who is a part of the next generation that is doing the Lord's work. And I would almost, could be controversial to say, but I would say that he's doing it as correctly as he can. I think the Lord is moving in him, and I believe that he's doing great things. And I believe that the Lord is moving and doing great things in our generation, in general. We see it, people who are recognized in the church. Quick shout out to Burgundy Powell. We recently had, what was it? It was an event at the church, and it was, celebrating people who serve in our church. And she was recognized for having such a huge impact in kids ministry. And it's very true. She holds kids ministry very close to her heart. And I think that it's also awesome to see how passionate she is and how she's listened to her calling into kids ministry. And that may not be her calling forever, but she knows that that's her calling as of right now. And she's doing an amazing job. Kids ministry is thriving. And that same goes for youth and Woody. Pastor Woody's doing such a great job in youth and in YA. I just think that there is more room for us, and we're, as far as locally goes, or at least within our church, we're kind of proving the point of the impact that we can have in adding and having young adults being more, quote unquote, in charge of maybe crucial positions, because I would say that, you know, being a pastor, being in charge of kids ministry, I would say that that's crucial. And I think that we're doing such an amazing job. And that goes for all of us, even people who are just students at young adults. We do such a great job in having conversations with new people at the church, you know, who are young adults, and inviting people to young adults. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, even to go further on that too, it reminds me a lot of the analogy of like having kids and raising kids, that you need to raise them in preparation for them to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And something that our young adults leader says all the time is that we'll like spread our wings and fly the coop. And I think that that's just obviously really relevant, because yes, we do need training, and yes, we do need to be rooted in our church, and we need to be rooted in the word in order to go out. But I think that the training that we need is found within our local church. And
yeah, I would agree.
I think there's also a lot of churches, and I won't just single out like ours, because I think it honestly is a lot of churches that want specifically, their mission is like, we want to reach the younger generation, because the younger generation is obviously going to be next in line to run the churches and just run these things. And I think there should be more room to allow for the younger generation to have the freedom of idea.
Yeah.
And have that be not only allowed, but encouraged.
Yeah.
Because not to throw anyone under the bus, but for our young adults at our church, we had to fight tooth and nail to even turn it into a ministry.
Right.
And it took a year almost to actually get it into a ministry. But I just think there needs to be a better blend when it comes to wanting the younger generation and the next generation to be the next leaders.
Yeah.
And actually having room for them to do so.
Agreed.
And I think too, just because we have young adults everywhere at our church, whether it's worship team, tech, kids ministry, you're a youth mentor for like the middle school, high school age.
Yeah.
And those are all incredible opportunities. But I feel like too, it goes beyond that, because for me personally, something I've been praying so heavily over our church is a prayer room. Having a set time every week where we can get together as a church and just have soft worship music and allow a place for people to just pray and repent.
Yeah.
And that's something that our generation needs. Like, it's so easy to get busy as young adults. Like, we're busier than ever, whether you're just graduated college and starting a career, or you're in college and you're balancing classes and life, or, you know, even if you're still in high school, like freshly 18, whatever it may be. But it's something that the younger generation yearns to have, but there's no place to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think there should be more leeway when it comes to what the younger generation is asking for. and boldly saying too, like if I approach someone and I boldly say, like, the younger generation needs this,
Right.
there needs to be more room for acceptance
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree. And I love to see, so I was actually watching the news today when I got home. And I saw the news yesterday about they're calling it almost like a revolution. Not in a negative way, because obviously sometimes like revolution is seen as like almost like
A revolt.
yeah. And they're more so just calling it a revolution because of how much of an impact it is in young adults coming to Christ, and how big of an impact we as young adults are having on other young adults in coming to Christ. And this goes for everyone, whether you're Catholic, Christian, or any of the other denominations. I am only aware of Catholic, whether it's, Roman Catholic, Orthodox Christian, Orthodox Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, whatever the case may be. I know that the Vatican and the new Pope recently called the Knights Templar back for the first time in ages. I don't know how long it's been. And for people who don't know what the Knights Templar is, it was the army of the Vatican during the Crusades. Obviously the Crusades, they happened when during the Islamic Crusades. We came in as Christians and defeated the Islamic army. We had the victory, et cetera, et cetera. That's just, there's a lot of movies on it, and there's a lot of history behind it. And I know that I can speak for a lot of young adult men, but it's kind of funny, but it's also just the truth. We yearn for the Crusades to, in a sense, happen again. We yearn to be a warrior for Christ again. And it's not so much to go to war, but we're willing to go to war if necessary to spread the gospel and to defeat the enemy. I know that I feel that way a lot. Yeah. I wanted to grow up and be a Navy SEAL when I was younger. If soccer didn't work out, obviously neither worked out. The Lord didn't have that in store for me, and I'm okay with that. But granted, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and it's obviously, for one, because I love my country, and two, pardon my French, but I thought it was so badass to be somebody who fights for something that you love, and I think about it now as an adult, and I think about it in the sense of I would love to have that same thing, but I'm fighting for the Lord, and I'm fighting for Christ, and I'm fighting for the truth. I know that there are a lot of us, and I can even go as far as to say that, some of my practices, when I'm at home are very, I would say, Catholic based. I have a prayer corner. I go and I pray in my corner. I have a picture of Jesus and a prayer rug, and I light it up with my candles. And that's very much a Catholic practice. And I have my, what is it called? The rosary that you hold in your hands, and you intertwine it on your hand. It's actually not a necklace, for people who didn't know. Yeah, a rosary is not a necklace. It is almost like
it's like a prayer guide.
It's a prayer guide, and it's you hold it on your hand. You intertwine it on your hand in a certain way while you're praying. Obviously, the only thing that I do not agree with is praying to saints, praying to the Mother Mary. I do believe that you can only reach God through Jesus. And but granted, I take away a lot of these things because I know that they're practices that I believe hold so much power, and I know that there are a lot of people out there, especially in our generation, who are coming to Christ, and it's not just to say that, oh, they're coming to a non-denominational church like me. No, these people are turning to Christ, whether it's Catholicism, whether it's non-denominational, whether it's Baptist, etc. And it's having a great impact. And I know that a lot of these people, especially the young men, kind of like I was saying, we are willing to die for our Lord. And you don't see that. You don't see that a lot, especially in today's day. But you also didn't see that through maybe even last generation and generations before that. People obviously wanted the Lord, and they've had this strong faith. I know that we live in a country where we could argue, and I know that I could go on for days about the topic, but our Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag. What's the next part?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Under God.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a certain generation failed us as far as having Christ at the center of our country. But I believe that we're moving in the right direction as to bringing that back.
And I think that's also not just one generation. That's like...
It's multiple.
It's multi-generational sin.
Yeah.
It just compounded and compounded.
Yeah.
And it turned into normal to not be raised that way, or to view this as a Christian country.
Yeah.
Founded on Christian morals and Christian beliefs. But it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go way back, like, we separated from England.
Yeah.
Because we wanted separation of church and state, because we wanted Christianity. We wanted Jesus.
Yeah.
So.
And I talk about this a lot to Shay. I have a lot of love for the country of Poland. I dream of living there. I dream of living everywhere.
Yeah.
But I
call it, where does Luis want to move this week?
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, I know that Poland is one that comes up a lot. I would love to live in Poland, and for the exact reason of they just recently had almost a quote unquote revolution of fighting to have leaders in the country all be Christian. They recently just announced that they have accepted and announced that that Jesus is king of the country.
Yeah.
And then the president, he's just somebody who is so head over heels in his faith.
Yeah.
For the lack of better words, he is somebody who is such a devout Christian, and who wants to remove things of this world and bring back Christian foundation in the schools, in jobs, and in society in general.
Yeah.
And we got to see that. I won't talk too much on the topic, but we got to see that. And I'll just state the year that it started, in 1938. Do with that what you will. But we saw it then, and we're seeing it now. And we're starting to understand as to why it is important to have Christ in the center of everything. Your country's values, your house's values, your friendship values, your relationship values. The foundation of everything has to be the Lord. And a big part of that movement is the young adults. And that's why I feel that we should have a little bit of more recognition in our churches today. I believe that obviously with the correct training, not everybody is, right. A candidate to be a leader in the church, but I do believe that everybody is a candidate to be a servant of the Lord.
Absolutely.
In the church. And I think it's just, I don't know, I could get emotional. Like it's so awesome to see how the Lord is moving in our generation, and just how many people are coming to the Lord, and I get to deal with it almost on a daily basis. I have people who would be considered elders in our church, at my job, in public, come up to me and ask me about, oh, I see that you have a cross around your neck. Are you a Christian? Yes. And that turns into probably like some of the most amazing interactions that you could ever have with people.
Yeah. And I want to say real quick too,
yeah, go for
just because before it leaves my brain, we know that Christ is hope.
Yeah.
And without having Christ at the center of your life, you feel hopeless. And what I've noticed in our younger generation is that we carry so much hope. And that's not to say that any other generation doesn't have that hope, but it's so present and it's so saturated in our generation that we have so much hope for what's to come, whether that's like hope in jobs, hope in career, hope in love. Like, as a younger generation, we just have so much hope that we hold on to. Mm-hmm. And I think that, again, this isn't to say that any other generation doesn't. But
right.
We are also, it's so easy now for young adults to connect to other young adults. And I mean, obviously, and we're the generation that carries, I don't want to say we carry more, but it almost like we do, carry more hope. And if that's what the lost people are looking for, like, we're here, we're available. And kind of just like what Luis was saying, that not everybody is a candidate to be a leader, but everybody is called to be a servant, no matter what. Right. And so when you become a servant of Christ, it requires obedience in action. And I think that with a lot of young adults and in the younger generation, we are so hungry for his presence that we, not that we're more prone to act in obedience, because sometimes I actually think it's the opposite. Right. But I think that as a younger generation, we're more prone to correction when it comes to needing to act in obedience.
Yeah, I can agree.
Which isn't always the case. That's, again, just me speaking out of personal experience. But yeah, just along the lines of like the younger generation and their place in the church, I think overall, just not that we need more of a presence, because I don't think it's about that. Right. I think it's purely about having the right equipment and being trained up and having the right teachings and having the space to ask the questions, put out to the leaders what we need, and have that be received in a positive light. Because here's the thing too, is the Holy Spirit does not discriminate. Right. There is no partiality when it comes to God and his word. And just because we're younger, that doesn't discredit our sensitivity to the Spirit. Right. And I feel like sometimes we can get disqualified by leader. And again, this isn't just like our church. It's a lot of churches that I've been to. But we tend to be disqualified just because we're younger or we don't know as much. But again, I think it's more, I mean, again, the Holy Spirit doesn't discriminate based on our age. And I feel like if the Lord is speaking to the younger generation that they need something, that there should just be more openness in allowing that to flow into the church and how the church is structured.
I also think that we, or at least us in our generation, we're getting a lot better in acting in humility and just being honest. And that goes like not only like with ourselves, but with each other as friends. And I think that I would say, honestly, especially in our friend group, when I was pretty outspoken about stepping into ministry, you know, kind of after pretty much everything that I had said that I was planning on doing, and then kind of just being taken aback and being like, okay, actually, I already knew the Lord was calling into ministry. I think that it would be more of like, you guys would have let me know if I was ready or not.
Yeah.
Like, especially stepping into a leadership role. I think even just as mentoring, kind of like how I'm doing right now, the way that I saw it is like, obviously I spend the most time with you guys. And I think that kind of noticing, for example, like with Rachel, Claire, Woody, Tyler, and Joe, just kind of hearing their perspective on it, because obviously like I don't spend time with them other than when I was at young adults. But they were very honest in being like, yeah, I think you would be great in leadership. I think you would be great for ministry. I think that, like, especially when I was talking to Claire, she was kind of the one that told me that she was actually very, very excited to see me step into the internship, even though I couldn't end up, going through with it because of work. But she was so excited because she even said it herself, like that I know that the Lord has it in store for you. And I was kind of surprised, to be fair. But that's more so just because, like, obviously, like, self-doubt and stuff like that. Like, I think that played a big role into it. But now I'm starting to understand that, like, if there are people who don't know me as well saying that based off of my actions and the way that I was as a student in YA, kind of going out of my way to step into that leadership role and taking initiative in a lot of things, just that alone showed them, I think was big for me. And I think that that's kind of a huge example, if anything. I mean, I kind of rambled there a little bit, but it's a big example as like, that's how our generation is. We're very honest and we're very open. Obviously there's people who's not, but granted, we see that a lot with kids our age. And if somebody's not ready to step into leadership or anything, I think we're not afraid of having those tough and quote unquote harsh conversations with somebody. We're not afraid to attack those situations because obviously, like, we all love each other, and it's just in our best interest. So
yeah, it reminded me too when you brought up the young adult mentors.
Yeah.
That as young adults, we also can only exhibit so much growth in where we're at unless we're granted the opportunity to grow in a new capacity.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, like, now as a youth mentor, you're not just growing in your faith because of yourself. You're now also growing in your faith because you know that the Lord has placed you in an important place
Absolutely.
to lead other people.
Yeah.
And I think that has to go with, I mean, any type of leadership, whether you're on the worship team or in kids ministry or just wherever you're placed. But when the Lord requires, or not requires, but when the Lord calls you to lead a specific group or lead in a specific place, there's so much more growth because there's so much more responsibility.
Yeah.
And when you're held to a higher standard, it almost forces you to show up in a new capacity.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to allow more room for young adults to have that.
Yeah.
Whether it's opening more doors for having more youth mentors or kids ministry leaders, whatever it looks like in that specific church, it's going to be different from church body to church body. But I think that's ultimately the most important thing, is just allowing a space and allowing opportunities for your young adults to grow and show their growth. Because, I mean, honestly, this podcast has been growing my faith personally, just
Yeah,
because like
absolutely.
having a weekly responsibility, we can't just show up here empty-handed. Like
Yeah.
we have to fill ourselves up first in order to speak on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's the same thing where we need that in the church. And
Yeah.
again, it's going to look different from each church, but I mean, I'm just kind of like going in circles, but yeah, ultimately it's just like we need to have more opportunity to showcase the growth that we have, because growth also compounds.
Yeah.
Like the more that we grow, the more opportunities there are, the more opportunities, the more we grow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of secular. Is that the right word? Circular. I don't remember.
Circular.
Well, I think it's like cycle, like secular. I don't know. I'm tired, but
I have no idea what you're talking.
It's kind of like a cycle like that where you grow, you have more opportunities, and from those opportunities, you have to grow even more.
Mm-hmm.
So I overall think that there needs to be more freedom in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I got.
Okay. That is it for today's episode.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to me talk so much. We got Shay feeling a little bit better there towards the end, which is great. We love to see that.
Took a little break and had some friends over, so
that
helped fill my cup up.
Yeah, I love everybody so much. Yeah. So happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for everybody who listened. Once again, please make sure to reach out to us if anybody needs anything as far as prayer, or we could try to reach out and we could try to reach back out to you guys if you guys need to just talk about anything or have any questions. Don't hesitate. Our Instagram handle is on the profile.
I don't know.
Well, it's at the table podcast.
At the table pod.
At the table pod.
On Instagram. Yeah.
Shoot us a DM. Drop a comment. We'll reply in the comments.
And I feel like a lot of us, or a lot of the people listening, know us personally, so you can always shoot a text.
Yeah, literally shoot a text.
If you have our number, shoot a text.
Yeah. I promise I've not gone Hollywood yet, so no pun intended to what I was talking about earlier.
That's true.
But thank you guys for listening. Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. I believe we have one more episode before our break, possibly. And we might call that maybe a couple more.
Yeah.
But
we're going to take like a Sabbath break.
Right.
We're going to take a 4 weeks off from posting, just to recharge, recenter, make sure that we're still good in our walks.
Right.
Again, we're both in busy seasons. We talked about this
a
couple episodes ago, but we're both very, very busy right now. So we just want to take a break from the podcast for a little bit, especially with holidays coming up soon.
Yeah, it's very true.
So yeah, we'll just take a little break, and then we'll be back with season 2, some more episodes, some more good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Jinx.